Steel day today, so thinking about where we're at with the job because it's been a while. Sorry. Today, ow, we're going to be doing the steel. So as you can see, I've prepped ready, so this is all ready to go. I've not resined the bolts in yet because I want to put a nut and washer underneath to allow for fine adjustment, and if I resin them in now, you won't get it back off again. It's not enough head height there, so I thought, do you know what, it's safer anyway. If you bolt it first and you need to do a bit of fine adjustment, then you're buggered really, aren't you, if they're already set in. So that's where I'm at now. I've also done this one. Again, it's all located. I've not set these in the resin yet for the same reason. This is the steel, the first steel to go in. See, she's pretty big, and they've got a cranked end for the pitch of the roof. I'm using a new steel guy. His name is Ben Childs, Pontypool. Do you know what? Absolutely cracking. Look how nice and neat it is, all the welds. Plus, you know, when I was setting these columns, I was a bit because the drawing I sent him with this template, as you can see, that's the perfect angle, so he couldn't go wrong. Not that he would, but you know, just in case. And I was thinking, oh, the overall length, you know, it's not joinery, it's steel work, but fair plays, it is to the mill what I requested, so I'm absolutely over the moon. So if you need any steel work, he is your man. So I'll be using him from now on. Look how neat it is. Yeah, I made myself a template, so that is how my joists are going to sit in that webbing, which leaves me just enough underneath there, look, for the plasterboards to shoot through underneath, and I've transferred that on to the end of all my joists, as you can see. And when you look by eye and line it up, it looks bloody marvellous. So yeah, which I'm just having a clean up now to make some space to get the Genie lift, which is coming. I was hoping it'd come this morning, but it's not coming till 12:30, I think. I'll probably get my two steels on some blocks by here ready, so I can just come in with the Genie, chuck it under, lift him up. I'm going to hang the first one on the end of the joists and use some sash clamps to keep it in place. Then that'll stay there, that'll support, then be supported, so I can lower the Genie, get the second one up, chuck them into place, put the bolts through on the top plate, which will pull those columns up. Same on there, pull the column up, and then once it's all positioned, should be able to resin those bolts in with a washer and nut underneath, and then we can fine adjust then on the 4 nuts to get this perfectly plumb at the right height and so forth. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so now I'm just prepping my Padstone. So I've had to take 2 courses of these flat blocks off, which will then allow me to put a thin bed on with 2 engineering bricks and then a new Padstone. If you can see that laser line there, that is the underside of my steel. So if I get my Padstone set bob on to that green laser, then everything should be perfect. Well, the Genie is here. I had to improvise slightly because we bought the extension forks, but still wasn't quite enough reach, so I'll show you. We've had to come over that little bit of wall that's left there. I'm going to put some blocks under them wheels. It can't go nowhere, it's resting on there. It'll be resting on blocks, so it's not going to topple forward. And obviously, even with it the flush side up, we're bottoming out on that, on the joists and that. So just put a board across, a couple of blocks, and we got more than enough height then. Trick is, we're going to grab the steels from down there, put them diagonally through here, lift it up, and then swing it in onto the joists, clampy, and then the next one. And that's the difficult bit out of the way, I think. Happy days, let's see how we get on. Right, well, beam 1's up in the air, and if you can see, that green laser line corresponds to what I've set my Padstone to there. So at the moment, that is bob on, and she's touching all the shoulders on my notch thing, which is beautiful. So now I've just got to try and get these clamps on here to stop this falling over. And I think I might put bolts in there to lift that column up and then pack underneath the base plate temporarily to stop any chance of it rolling, even with the clamps on. Right, back on site this morning. Couldn't film getting the second beam up because it was like the lights just went yo, what's for tea, blood? And it went pitch black, and I was just getting it set in position in the dark, so just had to come back today to do a few fine adjustments. We got the two beams in. It's absolutely perfect with the laser. Look at that. Boom, follow it across, and it is, can't really see it, but it is just bang on the edge of that padstone. It's nice and tight to all my shoulders on the joists. It was out of plumb this way by about 10 mil, so I clamped a block of wood and give it a good old smack that way, and that's moved that nice and tight against the wall over there. And there we have it. That's the finished product. Bolted all the connections. Weren't sure exactly on the position of that, but if you look up there, she's a beaut. On that connection there, because there's quite a variation in the width of this wall, I just had to put two washers in between that connection there. So the plate, the welded plate, and the steel. It was approximately 270 mil wide, the wall, so I spaced my two offcuts at 270, worked out how long my spacers had to be, cut them all with a little grinder, nice and square, and then that was bang on now, so happy days. This is ready to plumb up these columns, wedge them in position, resin the bolts in. I gotta clean all this off, make a little shuttering out of 4x2, and then pour my old non-shrink grout in. Same on this side, clean that lot out, plumb up all this, and we're good to go. A very important bit that people miss is pre-stressing this beam across here, because if you don't pre-stress it, when the weight finally goes on it, when you take the acro props on it, it will deflect. Everything's got a deflection, even steel deflects. So what I like to do is really wedge in some steel shims tight, round about the center point. So it's going to be around here where the Genie is, and then just gently knock a few more in. If you start whacking them in too tight, it loosens these, so you sort of go as tight as you can in the middle, and then just tap them in nice and snug every 900. And then if you want, to be honest, that is doing the same job as these needles. So you could then, if you wanted, before you dry pack so you can get in there properly, you could actually take your props away, which I probably will do, but don't forget to do that first, otherwise the whole thing will fall. I've done the internal skin. I've got a good 20 mil gap now, so I can ram that dry packing in there nice and tight. But I've managed to clean up all of this, resin my bolts in. I've just nipped them up to keep it in position, a bit of friction, not tight, just literally just nipped them up. Same on the other side. I keep mopping that trench out, and every time I come back there's a little bit more water there, so I'll do that again before I pour the grout. Got my timber cut there for my shuttering. I always work on the general rule. I leave 150 mil past whatever's sat on it, a bit like a footing, you know. So don't know if you have to do that, but that's what I just like to do, belt and braces. So I got a 300 base plate, which means I've got a 600 shuttering. So I'm gonna sticky foam it down, stop any of the grout seeping underneath, and then I might probably just wipe a bit of OB1 on the joints just to make sure it doesn't seep out. And on that side, it's a bit of a bloody mess really, because I'm going on to the existing, so I've got natural shutter in there. So what I might do is just flood it up if it seeps out. Yeah, I got plenty, I got 2 bags, so if it seeps out here, I'll just let it do it, and then as it's firming up, I'll just cut a nice straight square line in it before it goes off rock hard. So yeah, that's my next move. So I've sticky foamed that down. I'll just go and work out the water ratio for my structural grout, and then cut that away and just put a nice bead of OB1 on all the joints so we don't get any leakage, and then we're ready to go, I think. So it's bloody windy here, and I just wanted to stress the importance of if you're doing this yourself, importance of pre-stressing steel lintel, because obviously when the props are up, there's absolutely no weight on it whatsoever, so you can dry pack to your heart's content, and it's still finally release those props. It will deflect. It might not be much, but it might be enough to cause cracking internally, whatever. So it is really good practice to pre-stress your beam. So I'll show you where we're at. So that was my shuttered off thing for my structural grout. So that's all poured, gone off solid last night, overnight, bolted in. I've removed all my props. But the reason I've removed all my props before I've dry packed, which is what I'm doing at the moment, is because wherever there was a needle, I've basically done this. So when you order your steel, always ask your steel man for a load of varying thickness shims. What I do is where all these needles were, I go along and I smash them in really tight until you literally really can't. And what that does is causes the beam to deflect slightly and do all its movement before you take the props out. And then, so because I've done that all the way along, I did it on the ends, but there. I haven't bothered by there because, to be honest, there's not really much point because you've got tons of support there and it's only a little bit over what the prop would be anyway. So if I'm perfectly honest, I ran out of shims, so hey ho. Anyway, nothing's moved. So yeah, that's allowed me then to take all my props down. That's all grouted in, and now it's just I've got loads of room now, so nothing's in the way, and I can just gently go along, dry pack in this, and then once I dry pack that, I can fill in. I'll just cut some bricks or some ink or a bit of block to just slop in there to finish that off where the needles went through. And if you're doing this, by the way, you've probably done it already. If you do this kind of thing, just grab a bit of offcut of wood, make sure it fits nicely in your slot, crudely cut a handle type affair so you can grab onto him, and then it allows you to steels are in, big milestone complete, and then we're getting the machines back in the new year to start getting this oversight down to level, ready for our slab.